Greetings from the set of Metro and More at Metropolitan Community College, serving more than 50,000 students with over 120 programs at our 8 locations in the daytime, evening, weekends, or online. And I'm your host, Kent Pavelka. Welcome again to Metro and More. More of what you need to know about Metropolitan Community College in the next half hour. A very revealing chat about the updates going on at the Omaha campus, the Fort Omaha campus construction project. Stan Harrell is Director of Campus Planning and Sustainability. And Stan, good to have you back. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. I appreciate it very much.
I want to chat about all the activity going on at the Fort. Things are happening with lots of changes in construction all over Metropolitan Community College, but particularly at the Fort Omaha campus.
Right.
And before we get into it, it just occurs to me that there are some viewers probably don't know where the Fort Omaha campus is. 30th and Sorensen Parkway.
Right. 30th and Fort Street.
And Fort Street. Mm-hmm. Kind of tucked in.
Right. We have about 6 square blocks here.
Yeah.
We're just west of Highway 75 or 30th Street as you go north.
Yes.
And we're north of the Sorensen Parkway.
Yeah. And again, kind of camouflaged.
A little bit.
But more visible now because of changes done on Sorensen Parkway,
yep.
which is nice. But big changes going on.
There are.
Tremendous amount of construction at the Fort Omaha campus. Give us the broad overview about what's going on, the changes that are occurring, the construction, and the reason for the changes.
Sure. And I'll jump both back and forward a little bit. Back in 2010, when we executed our master plan for the entire complex, all of the locations, one of the things that came out of that was the need to co-locate some programs that had been separated and disparate before, and that turned into a study on what we might do to increase the size and footprint of the Fort Omaha campus. So we've got 3 brand new buildings basically being designed presently here at the Fort Omaha campus, and the construction project will run around $90 million total, and so we're really looking forward to it. Like I said, we've got about 3 buildings that we're working on right now.
Kind of goes back to that 2010 master plan.
Exactly.
Which took some time to develop itself.
It did. And speaking about that master plan, we know from previous master planning efforts that execution is the difficult part. Planning on those master plans is relatively easy, but execution is much more difficult. So in 2011, we had our master planning consultants come back and we did an implementation plan, and that's where the focus came out for the Fort Omaha campus, was in that implementation planning piece. And we put some budgets together and located some buildings, and we're ready to rock and roll now.
The notion, as you referred to it, to co-locate some programs that weren't at the same location. What was that came out of the master plan?
That did come out of the master plan. One of the things that's happening, I'm sure everybody or if you don't understand it, at least they're aware of how much education costs nowadays. Well, it also costs a lot to deliver that education. And we had, specifically with our trades programs and allied programs, we had those split between 3 or 4 different campus locations. And we determined that the only way that we could effectively and efficiently deliver those programs and get as much synergy as we can out of them was to bring them together in one location. And the Fort was chosen for that. There's a couple of reasons, but we really believe that the North Omaha community is going to benefit from this co-location here. But we'll bring our electrical trades, we'll bring our construction trades, we'll have a bit of welding in there, we'll bring civil engineering, we'll bring architectural technology, our HVAC program. Everything will come here and co-locate in one building here at the Fort in our Construction Education Center.
Yeah, makes too much sense, doesn't it?
Well, it seems to. It's honestly quite costly to deliver these separately. We've got to provide services at all these different locations, yet you don't get that. Out in the real world, electricians work beside carpenters, and HVAC people work with all of the trades. So if we can get those programs co-located, we know we're going to have some tremendous advantages.
And no longer need the the duplicate services
Right.
that each location
Right.
required. Right?
Well, and we're essentially full everywhere. So this is going to, the program areas that we move here to the fort, this will leave us areas to go back into and expand our other programs as well. So, you know, there's a pretty good win here for the college and the community.
What's the plan for that?
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Yeah.
We just haven't got anything finalized right now. We figure it'll be 2 years before these present buildings are open, and we'll have the plan by the time we get there.
So we're talking about early 2017.
Well, we'll begin to bring some of these buildings online early 2017, but the real deadline that we're shooting for is the fall of 2017. That's when we want these buildings done and open to our public and our students. So that'll give us a little bit of time to get all the furnishings in, get the staffing relocated and everything like that. So fall 2017, that's the big date.
Big changes at the Fort Omaha campus. Stan Harrell, Director of Campus Planning and Sustainability. Talk about, you mentioned bringing all these, you mentioned the specific programs that are going to end up at the same location, the fort. Where have they been at this point in time?
At least half of them are down at our South Omaha campus presently. Our construction technology is down there. Our electrical program, our welding program is down there. Now the welding will still stay at our South Omaha campus, but we're going to have a presence of that welding up here in this new building as well. The commercial construction piece is out at our 108th and State Street, our ATC campus out there. Architectural drafting and civil engineering and HVAC are out at Elkhorn. So we've got them spread all over, quite frankly, and that's just the way the college developed over the decades.
Yeah. Why is welding going to have a presence both at South and at the fort?
Well, number one, there's a tremendous need for welders nowadays. And what we're going to try to do is orient some of the welding instruction that's more specifically related to construction here at the fort in some new labs. So we won't have a giant presence here on the welding piece of it, but we'll certainly be able to train quite a few people here. Additionally, that as we expand and move that construction technology from south up here to the fort, we'll be able to expand the welding program down there. And our push there is manufacturing. So we'll turn that into a manufacturing center and a fabrication center down there for welding. So we'll actually increase the footprint for welding at South, and then we'll take the construction-related pieces of it and focus them here at the fort.
When this is all said and done, to what degree is the Fort Omaha campus primarily a vocational trades campus then?
Well,
because there'll be some other things.
There will certainly be some other things here too. I would say that this will become our primary training area for all trades-related things. Now we've got another building out there called the Center for Advanced and Emerging Technologies, and we've come to realize that technology is pervasive in every industry, and so we want a building that will be able to focus on that interface of technology and not only the trades, but as well as just that IT training for everyday life. Things we don't even know about yet will be taught in that Center for Advanced and Emerging Technologies.
Another piece to this whole conversation is the objective to have local industries work with what's going on at the college, right? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, we presently have refocused our Workforce Innovation Division, and that's headed by Dr. Tom Pensabeni. And the entire objective there is to go out and interface with industry and find areas where our education intersects with their training needs. And so they are working specifically towards that direction right now. As well, we are working towards some industry partnerships in our new buildings to make sure that not only the manufacturers but local industry as well is supported within those. I mean, we've had chats with the electricians union. We've had chats with the plumbers union. I mean, we've had talks with basically every major player in town about these, and those talks are continuing. So by the time we get these buildings done, we will have firm partnerships in each one of these buildings.
But I mean, and what will that mean? That they will have a presence alongside you at the buildings?
Well, certainly in the Center for Advanced and Emerging Technologies, we have spaces predicated in there that industry can actually utilize and train in those spaces.
Very cool.
But as well, the main tie-up here is there's a pretty strong disconnect, unfortunately, between technician-type training and the educational delivery. So the big key will be that we get industry in here to help us tailor our educational delivery to fit their needs. So, you know, in a dream world, local industry would be coming here to look for their next employee.
You bet.
So,
well, there's a lot of digging going on at the Fort Omaha campus as we speak, and that's gonna morph into real buildings. We've got some visuals we want to show you so that you can get an idea of what this is going to look like, how the Fort Omaha campus is going to be transformed. So let's do that. Let's go to those visuals.
Right, exactly.
So here's the first slide. This is the site development plan, and on the right hand of your screen there, that's 30th Street.
Right.
And then at the bottom of your screen where it says parking, that's where Sorensen, that's the
that's Sorensen Parkway presently.
So that gives you an idea.
Yep.
So let's start at the top right there, the CEC building. That's the Construction Education Center.
Right. That's what we talked previously. We're going to co-locate all of our trades programs there. That'll turn out to be a little over 90,000 square foot building. That'll be 2 stories, all brand new lab and training spaces. Like I said, the major thing that will occur there, beyond the training that happens nowadays anyway, is we're going to have a capstone lab in the center of that where the trades can all work together on projects. So we'll have the carpenters be able to put something together, we'll have the electricians be able to electrify it, some plumbing in it, and as well as the HVAC piece of it. And we have a couple of local architects who think we have the potential to develop some modular type housing. I mean, we don't have it firmed up yet, but what we're thinking we'll be able to do is possibly produce some modular type housing in that capstone lab, in that construction education center. We know that there's lots, there's plenty of lots here in North Omaha that could accept a modular house like that. And so we've had preliminary conversations with Habitat for Humanity. We'll talk with the city. We'll see if there isn't some way that we can make all of this work to provide the training and provide something for our community.
That'd be cool.
It will be cool.
90,000 square feet?
Yeah, a little over, probably 93.
What's on that part of the campus now? Or previous to
this, it was 2 different areas. One was the old DeStefano manufacturing. The college obtained that directly from DeStefano. There was a building just to the south of that G&G Manufacturing owned, and they had that building basically for backup storage for their manufacturing facility. And we've obtained both of those properties, and so that's where the Construction Education Center will sit, and that Center for Advanced and Emerging Technologies is on properties that the college has obtained, you know, from local.
Sure, that's how you expand.
That's how you expand.
We can go back to that slide and revisit right next to it, as you just talked about, the Center for Advanced and Emerging Technologies.
Right.
So that's the building, CAET building.
Right. We're calling it the Kate building. That building essentially will be, you know, a little under 70,000 square feet. And what they're envisioning in there is a smaller, I hesitate to call it an exhibit space, but that's probably the most easily understood term. We'll have an exhibit type space in there where industry can come in, bring their machinery in for training for a day or a week or whatever they want. We've been very careful to work with our local community to make sure that we're not competing with you know, we're not trying to become another Quest or Clink Center. What we're trying to do is hit that sweet spot that doesn't exist in this town, that's small enough to be efficient. And so the center of that, the real anchor of that, is that exhibit space. But then we've got some labs adjacent to that will be available for either entrepreneurial efforts trying to get off the ground, or we will in addition have a pretty good presence with a fabrication lab in there. And I don't know whether you've had any of the shows about the fab lab that we started here at the Fort, but
we have.
But we will expand the presence of that fab lab quite a bit, maybe 5 times, 6 times.
It will move there.
It will move there.
Yeah.
And that's why we're working on it now, is so when that building opens, we're ready.
And then finally, the Academic Skills Center.
Right.
That would be the building most visible from Sorensen?
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
Yeah, there it
and
is there.
and the other thing that we have to remember here is we're not just putting up 2 or 3 buildings. We are essentially assembling a campus. With the previous effort with our Institute for Culinary Arts over there, the blue one, the ICA, we're going to turn this into a destination, quite frankly, an educational destination. And that Academic Skills Center, we've unfortunately come to realize over the years that not everyone is prepared for college level work when they decide to go to college. And that Academic Skills Center, we're going to change how we deliver how we deliver education in there, but our intake as well, to try to make it as seamless and as painless for people as necessary. But we want to make sure that we can deliver those foundational skills that work for whatever area we want to train in.
But primarily for those educational disciplines at the fort.
Yes,
because
exactly.
that's why it's located
right,
here.
Exactly.
Right?
We think this will be a really, really strong support to those other 2 buildings. I mean, not everyone, people have interests in different things, but not everyone has great English and communication skills. Not everyone has great mathematical skills. So what we want to do is be able to take those folks that need training in 1 or 2 areas, bring them up on the educational side so that they can, comprehend and move through their programs in those other buildings. So
yeah,
that's what we're trying to do here. And it'll change the whole college for sure.
That's great. Let's take a look at the other slides here, because it'll give you a different feel, a different kind of a view of what's going to happen here.
Right.
Here's artist renderings, right?
Yeah, these are architectural renderings. The buildings probably won't actually look exactly like this, but the footprints are where they go, and the square footages are roughly what they intend to be. On the left in the foreground there is that Academic Skills Center that you see.
Now, how big is that building?
That building will be around 90,000 square foot
So
as well, but it's 3 floors. The other 2 buildings are 2 floors, so it's going to have a pretty good presence. For those of you that have been by on Sorensen and seen our Institute for Culinary Arts, it'll be at least another full floor above the Institute for Culinary Arts. So,
and that's just to the east of the ICA?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And that will set between the ICA and that Center for Advanced and Emerging Technologies. And well, the piece that I brought up before about us building a campus is absolutely correct here, because what we'll be doing, we know that those spaces in between those buildings can be as effective as the buildings themselves. And so what we're trying to accomplish here as we put these buildings up, we want a finished campus when we get done, and that's considerably more work than just putting up 2 or 3 buildings.
So what's the vision for in the space between the buildings then?
Well, we already have a lot of events here at the fort, and most of the larger ones occur out on the parade ground.
Sure.
And sometimes those events get kind of lost in that huge of space. That parade ground is, I don't know, 8 acres or something like that. So we'll have a much more personable size in between those buildings. We'll have a mall that runs from 30th Street up all the way to that Academic Skills Center. We know we're going to get a lot of visitation from K-12. So when our parking areas, we've got parking already set up for buses so that we know that we can do tours in there. We're talking about food service as well. We hope we'll have the capability of bringing in 2 or 3 food trucks out in that court area as well. So I think this is going to be pretty exciting. I really do.
It's tremendously exciting. And really, I want to invite all of our viewers to come by the campus.
Right.
I mean, again, the fort's kind of tucked in here, a little bit hidden, but less so because of what's been happening over the last few years on Sorensen. But
it's going to change and morph tremendously. There's no question about it. For those of you that drive by on 30th Street, you probably already noticed the gigantic pile of dirt that's behind the construction fence and almost encroaching onto 30th Street, and that's basically the first foundational area for that construction education center. So we've got what's called a surcharge on top of the actual building footprint itself, and that's to pre-compact the soil. These buildings are designed for 100 years. We need to make sure that the soil under them is capable of carrying that. So,
yeah. You want to talk about challenges? I mean,
that's a pretty large subject.
That's a daily deal for you.
That's a daily deal. It definitely is. We haven't yet met a challenge that we don't feel that we can overcome. I mean, we've walked through probably 5 different property acquisitions to make this happen. We've worked with the city to close existing alleyways. We have all kinds of challenges with just getting the city ready for this whole scenario. We've met with them about 4 times already to make sure that they understand where our planning is. We have to, of course, keep our Board of Governors fully abreast of this progress as we move forward. So last month, we took what's called the programming statements for all the buildings that outlays the square footage, the average operational cost per year for those buildings, and what's going to occur in them. You know, just a verbal book, essentially, of what those buildings represent.
Because all this is dynamic. You can't,
It is.
You can't prprepare these reports ahead of time.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
And everything's a moving target. So we probably had 15 different drafts of those documents before we got them to the board, because the planning's occurring simultaneously with the documents. And that's necessary because you talk about challenges. We actually have to go down to the Coordinating Commission for Post-Secondary Education and get their approval of this whole project anyway. And so we're working with them. Those programming statements, once they're approved by our Board of Governors, next they go to the Coordinating Commission for Post-Secondary Education down in Lincoln, and they go in front of their board, and we explain all of this over again, and hopefully we get their blessing. I'm sure we will. We have every time in the past. It's just that they want to know that we understand fully what we're taking on here. So
yeah,
just another set of eyes.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we've got any more visuals or not. Maybe we've already looked at them all.
Right.
If we do, there we go.
Yeah, if we could move maybe to the next one. This is just a close-up of that Academic Skills Center with that Center for Advanced and Emerging Technologies behind it. This would be the approach off of the entrance into the campus on 32nd Street. The ICA would be to your left, and this will be the first building that you see in that parking area adjacent to Sorensen.
Uh-huh.
So if we can move to the
And
next one.
where's that in relationship to ICA?
The ICA is to the left.
To the left, okay.
Right,
All
right. And then the building in the back is the Center for Advanced and Emerging Technologies.
And there you go.
Right, exactly. Now this is a view from 30th Street or Highway 75 North. On the left is our Center for Advanced and Emerging Technologies. On our right is our Construction Education Center. And you can see that mall area that I talked about from 30th Street going back towards the Academic Skills Center. So this is probably going to be, well, certainly in North Omaha, it's going to be one of the destination spots. Our goal is if the state gets a company in here for economic development and they fly in to take a look at Omaha or Nebraska, we would love the first stop to be made here.
Well, it's close to the airport.
Close to the airport, exactly.
That mall, there's
a little bit of a twilight evening view of all 3 buildings. This is looking probably from the southwest down on the buildings.
You have to use your imagination, but it's not hard to do that. And when you think about these buildings, and then the ambiance that the mall and what might be in that will create. I mean, it will create a culture.
It will.
Yeah.
It will. And the great thing is, this allows the college to test out some things that we've been working on for a long time in our financial aid, in our student services areas, on intake and career exploration. You know, a lot of people come to college not knowing exactly where they might fit in or what they're interested in. One of the objectives in that Academic Skills Center is to give them enough information for an educational path. So there will be a lot of career exploration there, but as we build these buildings and we change how we do business, essentially, what we will do is we'll move those changes out to our other campus locations. This gives us a great opportunity to experiment and change things, and we know...
Sort of use what's happening or what will have happened at the Fort as a blueprint for the other
exactly.
campuses?
Or a working model, if you will, because I know that will evolve too. What we conceive of today is as a great plan and perfect planning for the operational piece of those buildings. When we get in there, I guarantee you that's going to change. So, but it'll give us a chance to vet those things. You know, not every business has that opportunity. Not every institution has that opportunity. So this is certainly
to apply it to the rest of the college.
Right, exactly. Yeah. This is certainly a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Talk about the importance of the capital campaign that's going on in relation to this.
Right, that's a great one. We started about 2 or 3 years ago internally because the feeling is that if we're not willing to give to our own effort, how can we ask other people to give? And so the last 2 years we've had a tremendous internal capital campaign. We've probably doubled the amount of giving from the college employees themselves over the last couple of years. I don't have those numbers. Sheila and the foundation Sheila in marketing and Pat Chrysler in the foundation probably have those numbers. I don't, but I know that we've more than doubled our giving internally. We have managed to work with several partners, foundations outside of the college. I know that we have raised $45 million or something in private donations to make this thing occur as well. So.
Well, you can't mention all that without talking about the president of the college.
Oh, that's absolutely correct. That's, you know, in a way nowadays that's what the president's job is at many institutions, because state funding has been going down for probably the last 2 decades on education, and the only way to make that up is to get out and essentially be that face for the college, and Randy has been working diligently forever on that piece.
Wanted to mention that Randy Schmazel
right,
has done a
exactly.
tremendous job.
Yeah, no, he's done a tremendous job.
You talked about partnerships in terms of the capital campaign, but there are a lot of partnerships. The city, and you've got architects. I mean, this is an economic has an economic impact beyond what Metropolitan Community College.
Well, it certainly does.
Community.
I mean, one of the spots that we have predicated inside of that Center for Advanced and Emerging Technology is actually a space for economic development. We'll have people from the state in there, people from the county in there, who will have a presence in that building as well on economic development. But I think the thing that's really going to change this whole dynamic is there are a lot of jobs, a lot of technician level jobs that only require a couple of years of training. And those, what we used to think as blue collar jobs, those are actually kind of turning into almost gold collar jobs. I mean, as myself a perfect example, as the population ages and many of us move out of the workforce, that's leaving a pretty large void in there. And it's not the same jobs that used to exist. They're much more technologically advanced. And the pay for some of those positions is outstanding. And so that's what we're headed for. We're headed for those technician level jobs. That's what we figure. If we can make a path through the first 2 years of your education to employment, to a job, to a career, the front door will fill itself automatically.
Real quickly, talk a little bit about how this is going to all evolve. I mean, we're talking about the fall of 2017, but buildings will start coming up.
Right. Let me talk briefly about. Let me talk briefly about the team that we put together to do this.
Yes.
We changed the dynamic a little bit. Our Board of Governors decided that this was too big of a project to do on essentially low bid. So what we did is we hired a CM at risk firm. That's Kiewit. That's the Kiewit Building Group. We have 3 different architectural firms under the guidance of Hall & Basham & Associates as the design group. They have a cadre of consultants under them that we're going to work with as well. So we think we've assembled a tremendous team to be able to pull this off.
This is more than exciting, and it begs for follow-up over the next year or 2.
Oh yeah, I would say
we'll have you back.
I appreciate that very much because we do need to keep our public aware of where we're at.
We'll have some photographs.
Oh yeah, we'll have some reality things.
Yeah, some real stuff besides dirt to show.
Right,
people.
Exactly.
Stan, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Kent. I appreciate it.
Lots happening at Metropolitan Community College at the Fort Omaha campus. Thanks for being with us on Metro and More. Our goal is to better acquaint you with the mission, leadership, and the reach of the college. I'm Kent Pavelka for Metropolitan Community College.
This has been a MetroVision production produced by Metropolitan Community College.
As a student at Metropolitan Community College, you're part of something exceptional. You're part of a 40-year progression of excellence. You're part of the second largest institution of higher learning in Nebraska, part of a movement of emerging technology and dynamic partnerships with business and industry. You're part of an investment in this community to make it one of the best places to live and work in the nation. As a student at Metropolitan Community College, you're part of an exceptional opportunity. Metropolitan Community College.